Happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Kevin Toll Reads. So, today is my first in a new video series where I talk about a character study, kind of a deep dive of characters. And I'm kicking that off today with Jack Reacher. So, Jack Reacher is a fictional character in Lee Child's universe of his Reacher books. There are currently 28 books. There has been two movies and two seasons on Prime Video where Alan Richson plays Jack Reacher, and he does a fantastic job. Those two seasons are based off of the books Killing Floor and Bad Luck in Trouble. I have read 25 out of the 28 books. The last three I haven't read. I tried to read the 20, I guess you call it, sixth book. Those last three, Lee Child started co-writing them with Andrew Child, his brother. And so I just felt like the voice was a little different. I have the books. I'll probably get back to them at some point. But I have read these books multiple times. The 25 that I have read, I have them on Audible. I have them on physical format over there on the shelf. So I really enjoy them. So who is Reacher? So Jack Reacher, no middle name, and if you know, you know. That's kind of the running joke in some of the stories. It's always Jack Reacher, no middle name. He has a brother named Joe who is deceased. Joe worked for the DOJ in the Treasury Department. He has two parents that are also deceased, that's Stan and Josephine. His dad was a Marine, and Josephine was a French woman that his dad met on a base overseas. Growing up, both Joe and Jack moved from base to base as his dad was stationed from place to place, so he has frequented the overseas quite a bit. He joined the Army after 10 years. He worked his way up to major and was a major in the 110th Military Police, so he was an MP. He actually was demoted after he rammed a colonel's head through his desk, and he actually worked his way back to major again before he mustered out and retired. He lives a very nomadic life in the sense that he doesn't really have a job. He collects a pension from the Army. He does various things like dig pools down in the Florida Keys, or he does bouncing work because he is a big proponent of good food and blues music. But he lives a very nomadic life. He goes from place to place. He buys what he needs, and he doesn't really keep much. He carries a toothbrush, a passport, a bank card, and that's about it. So when he does get into trouble with the law, they're always like, who doesn't, he's not in the system. He doesn't have, any mortgages. He's not on the internet. He's not on social media. He's a very kind of this Paul Bunyan-esque type character in the sense that, he has these exploits in the military, and anyone who knows of him knows the stories. And so he's both intimidating with his cachet, but he's also intimidating as a physical person because in the books he's depicted as 6'5" and around 250 pounds, and he's muscular and good looking, and he's always getting the ladies. So he, as a male reader, and other male readers probably are the same way, you connect with this character because you have a little bit of, you're kind of have a bromance kind of with the character because he's, what you're not kind of thing. So but also, there's quite a bit of constant readers to the Jack Reacher books that are female that really enjoy it as well. Lee Child does a pretty good job when it comes to the romance part of it. It's not overly to where, you're kind of embarrassed as a male reader. But definitely, it has its place in the books. So some cool facts about Jack Reacher, one of the cool ones I think is he gets mentioned in Stephen King's Under the Dome. Stephen King and Lee Child are in real life are good friends, obviously both authors, and Stephen King has been known, and pictures are out there on the internet of him reading Jack Reacher books at different functions, and they're definitely friends. And King kind of plays homage in Under the Dome, where the part where the Army commander was like, oh, he mentions, that was the meanest or hardest nosed person in the whole Army, and when he's talking about Reacher. So I thought that was pretty neat. The other cool thing is his mom, Josephine, both Jack and Joe Reacher learn upon this as she's dying of cancer, that she was this special operative during World War II. She worked for this kind of resistance, for the French resistance during that, and helped smuggle people into safety. And they learn about that from an old man after she passes. And so that was really, really cool. So he's also the only the only non-Marine who has won the 1,000-yard Marine Corps shooting rifle competition. So he's this kind of mythical figure, and he's so, over the top awesome. He definitely in the stories is one that is very good at assessing. He uses his military experience. He obviously uses his physical attributes to be intimidating. He's obviously in the stories, he gets into these sticky situations or he's called upon to help in different situations, and he's definitely, a step above and a step ahead of everyone else. So it makes for great reading. In terms of, where should you start reading Reacher? Obviously, the chronological place is Killing Floor. That's the first book chronologically in there. Die Trying is in one of the first books as well. The book The Enemy, which I have here, is also a good book if you want to start. Some people say you should start here and then you should move to Killing Floor, because The Enemy kind of is like a book related to the time that Jack is still in the military and is investigating a murder with the 110th. So some people say, well, this is, should be your starting place, and then you go into here where he's post, out of the army. It doesn't really matter, and quite frankly, you can read any of the books. Any of the books written specifically by Lee Child, I think you could start with any of them. They're self-contained stories. Some of them have mentions to other places, but it's very casual. It's not like, oh, you have to read that one to understand some of the context or some of the conversation around the mentions of, oh, well, yeah, I was back here, 6 months ago doing this, and you wouldn't understand. It's very casual, so you can read any of them, and you learn enough about Reacher to kind of understand as the story takes place. You don't need a lot of backstory, so that's really a really cool kind of feature with these books. Some of my best ones, obviously, Bad Luck and Trouble. That was season 2 of the Prime series, which I highly recommend you watch. Tripwire is another great one. It's an early one. Obviously, I mentioned The Enemy and Killing Floor. These are great starting points if you want to get into this Reacher world. Die Trying is another great, great book. Most of these books are 450 pages. I consider them thrillers. I don't really consider them beach reads, but they're kind of like that in the sense that you can read them quickly and they're engaging. They have there's fighting, there's shootouts, he's a really cool character. So you burn through the pages really good. So I can't highly recommend it enough. Obviously, I'm doing normal reviews. I talk about, what do I dislike about the series? There's not a lot. The only thing right now I dislike about, the Reacher character and in the series is really the last 3 books with Andrew Child. I just didn't really like the voice of it, and I can tell which parts he's writing versus Lee Child is writing. I will get back to him. I'm one of those type of people that I want to read everything, so I will give them another go in the future. But again, any of the 25 books, they're fantastic. They're really good. So that's my take on Jack Reacher. He's a fantastic fictional character, one of my favorites. Definitely highly recommend. So hope you're having a great day, and I will talk to you later. Thanks.